If you work out, especially if you lift weights, and you tell a meat eater that you're thinking of going vegan or plant-based or even just vegetarian, it is likely they will tell you, pump your brakes. You can't get enough protein eating like that. Your muscle size, your muscle strength will either stagnate or even worse, deteriorate. But is that true? Does skipping meat and skipping dairy mean you can't get enough protein? Yes and no, sort of. I'm going to take you through a day of what I eat, 100% plant-based, where I will get enough protein, but you can see what it takes to do that, and you can work out for yourselves whether or not you think the critics of that way of eating are right or wrong. I'll tell you now though what they are 100% wrong about. Eating plant-based does not mean you're going to turn into some weird hipster, grow a funny beard, wear skinny jeans, travel from coffee shop to coffee shop with a man purse on a scooter. That is a ridiculous stereotype. I'm going to timestamp all the meals in the description down below. I'll also stick them up on screen, so if you want to save yourself some time, just jump to the meal you're after, then go for it. Okay, so if you've been following the channel for a while, you might be thinking to yourself, what? You are plant-based? Since when? Since the 1st of May. I'll elaborate more on why later, but for now, just make a note, dump your Burger King stock. The sales of Double Whoppers in Reading have taken a massive hit in the last 12 days. Let's jump back to 7 o'clock this morning, let's get breakfast out of the way, and I can go through the macros and calorie numbers that I need to hit every day. Breakfast is an easy one because I've been having the same two things for breakfast for as long as I can remember, and hardly anything has had to change with going plant-based. Option 1 is always have nothing. I don't need to eat first thing in the morning. If I'm doing no cardio or the gym session's going to be light or it's a rest day, I don't have to eat until mid-morning, maybe even lunchtime, early afternoon. A very easy way to reduce calories is just don't have them when you don't need them. Option 2, what I'm having today, is overnight oats. Incredibly simple, incredibly yummy, make it the night before, means no time spent in the morning. The only change to make this plant-based is I've switched out the My Protein Isolate Whey powder to their vegan blend protein powder. Other than that, it's the same. So I've got my protein powder in there, I've got some cocoa powder in there to make it extra chocolatey. I've got my oats, obviously, a little bit of 0-calorie syrup in there, and some blueberries. Who doesn't love a blueberry? Dog crazy for blueberries. The dog is also 100% vegan now. It's a joke. Dog's as vegan as Hannibal Lecter. That is yummy, filling, 35 grams of protein. All good. And that breakfast meant that I felt full but not stuffed by the time I hit the gym. It was a volume back training session today, so not crazy heavy, but lots of sets, lots of reps. Do not want to go into that feeling hungry. Okay, so what do I need to eat? I work on this basis. I'm looking for between 0.8 and 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I'm hovering currently between 220 and 230, so nice and simple, 200 grams of protein. Roughly. To be honest, if it's over 175 grams a day, I'm happy. I then want 0.4 grams of fat per pound, but I did keto many times in the past, so I always feel good on higher fats. As long as it's around 100 grams tops a day, that's cool for fats. And then carbs, I just fill up the rest of my calories with carbs. And my calories vary. Right now I'm on a slight deficit. I've got a few running races coming up. I want to drop a few pounds before going into those. So currently I'm around 2,500 calories a day, plus 50% of what I burn in cardio. I do not count calories burnt lifting weights, but cycling and running I do. I've got a 1 hour, 20-minute run coming up today. That'll be about 1,000 calories. So that gives me another 500 calories on top of my 2.5, 3,000 calories today. If you think 3,000 calories sounds a lot, I am quite heavy. I'm doing a lot of endurance stuff. Obviously your needs will be very different to mine. This isn't eat what I eat, this is just, hey, here's how I do it. Okay, it's now lunchtime, and lunch is a bit early today because A, that back session earlier was incredibly draining, and I just feel like I need to eat, and B, I've got this run to get in later on. I do not want to be stuffed for going into that. So lunch was going to be a couple of pieces of pita bread stuffed with some tempeh and salad, but last night's leftovers are just too damn tempting. Tofu and Singapore noodles with a stir fry. It was absolutely delicious. I don't mean delicious as in that's not bad for vegan food, I mean just outright amazing. So I'm going to stuff my 2 pita breads with that, and that'll be just as good. Okay, just waiting for the pita bread to toast. I gotta say, I have yet to have a bad vegan meal. Jen has absolutely nailed the trying new recipes whole thing. This is just absolutely amazing. Okay, we are good to go. The tofu is a tiny bit lower in protein than the tempeh that I was going to have, but not enough to be worth worrying about. Singapore noodles means the carbs are a tiny bit higher than I would have been planning. Again, not enough to worry about. Got a run coming up anyway, and it looks absolutely delicious. Time for a very quick explanation. Now, I've only been plant-based for a very short time. In the summer, when I am a few months into this and I've got some athletic competition under my belt, I'll do a deep dive on how I'm really finding it. I'll also cover the ins and outs of why I've gone down this road in the first place. But for now, let me just give an overview of where I'm at. First of all, I have eaten meat pretty constantly since 1973. That is getting on for 48 years, so I'm no stranger to a burger. I know how good dairy products taste. I don't need to be told what I'm giving up. I'm a big boy, I understand just fine. Now, during those 48 years, I've been in shape, I've been out of shape, I've been fit, I've been a mess, I've been below average, and I've been very above average. I do not feel that eating meat has ever held my fitness back in any way. Eating like an idiot did, but it's pretty easy to eat like an idiot vegan too. This is not a meat is bad for you decision that I have made. To keep it short, there are 3 reasons why I'm plant-based. 1, I like to try things. I don't care if it is kite surfing or learning Portuguese. You have a short time on earth and then you are literally plant food. So I'd like to die many years from now feeling like I gave most things a go. In doing that, every now and then something I try sticks with me. So last year I thought I would try going vegan, see if it sticks. I was right on the verge of doing it when I watched the Game Changers documentary. And I found it such a one-sided load of nonsense, I gave up on the idea. Immediately I sent my kid out to get me a Big Mac before the credits had rolled. A year on, I've almost gotten over it. Almost. I still rate Piranha 2 as a more accurate James Cameron documentary. So I'm back in the mood to try something. Number 2, Jenna, my wife, went vegan a few months ago, primarily for ethical reasons. For her, she's just not a big fan of factory farming, and true free-range farming is either very rare or very expensive. So that's what she's done, with no requirement for me to follow her. But she's followed me into some pretty wacky situations that have seen us everywhere from stranded up mountains in flash floods to stuck in the African desert to living in Reading. So to not consider following her would seem to be rather unfair. 3, this was one that sealed it for me. I suffer from an addiction to bad foods. One can argue if it's a real addiction, but I will eat way past the point of enjoyment to an extent that is detrimental to my health with no ability to stop myself. I call that an addiction. And the problem with food addictions is that unlike other types of addiction, you can't quit food. But then I realised all the things I get hooked on, fast food, chocolate, donuts, just rubbish, 99.9% of it you can't eat as a vegan. So I have found a way to quit after all. Is that a sensible approach? Who knows? Who cares? Let's see how it goes. Now I should clarify some terminology here because I am bouncing between terms like vegan and plant-based, and I know that people are rightly protective of their own label. But first I have to get some work done in the office and then get that run done. Okay, we are about to head out on the run, 1 hour, 20 minute steady today. About 20 minutes ago, I had one of my Mountain Fuel sports jellies. I don't need a sports gel to do a 1 hour, 20 minute run, 20 grams of carbs in there. But when I do my much longer distance events, I use those, so it's good practice for my body, my stomach, to go and run with one of those inside me. Okay, I am now ready. Are you ready? He's ready, we're out of here. Okay, we are done. Last long run before the weekend. Got a race on Saturday. So yeah, that felt okay. Okay, so I am not a vegan. I use the term because it's well known, people think they have a decent understanding of what it means. But really being a vegan is a philosophy, rejects animals as a commodity. That's not me, I still wear leather, for example. I'd eat honey. Actually, I don't like honey, but I wouldn't feel bad about depriving the bee if I had to eat some honey. You could say I'm plant-based, although some people regard that as excluding oils and artificial sweeteners and stuff. And again, I don't avoid those. Here's what I am. No meat, no dairy. In fact, I never liked the idea of milk anyway. I get it 10,000 years ago, maybe when someone's starving to death and they're like, we either suck on the cows or die. But how it goes from that to them then deciding, firstly, let's only use the females from now on, and secondly, let's stick it in everything, just seems very weird. Oh, chickens, eggs rather. Technically, if we had happy chickens that lived at home and laid eggs, Jen might eat those. But we don't, the dogs would kill them, they wouldn't be very happy chickens for long. So we don't eat eggs either. So I guess you could say I am vegan diet without the vegan philosophy. Right, home. But first actually, on the way out on the ride, I saw down here some awesome looking grasses. Just gonna gather some. We can then put those into a stew a little later on. I'm kidding, we don't gather grasses from the field. Not yet. So with the run done, there is now a few hours until supper, so it's snack time. I've just eaten this. This was a soy-based pretend yogurt with some chopped nuts on top, a banana, some 0-calorie syrup, some 100% chocolate chips. Yummy, certainly as yummy as the Greek yogurt version I used to eat instead. And then I have this. This is my Huel protein shake. It is basically a meal replacement that Huel make. I've been drinking these for ages because they are super convenient, simple, tasty, high protein, full of good stuff. But I don't drink it as a meal replacement. I like to eat as much of my food as possible. So I use a half portion and I make a drink that I then just sip on over the rest of the afternoon. Helps me avoid any further snacking. Is that cheating compared to real food? Not really. It is way more real food than the protein bars that I used to eat, which cost an absolute fortune as well. In fact, talking of cost, in case you are wondering if all the tofu and tempeh and soya stuff is expensive, talking to Jen, who does the food shop, she said the cheapest option is cheap meat. You can't compete with a bargain basement chicken breast. But while I'm not eating like this for ethical reasons as such, I have some ethics still. I don't want to eat a chicken that has been farmed in whatever way they need to farm it so they can then stick it on a shelf and sell it for next to nothing. Priced in the middle is the way that we are now eating now, all this. And the most expensive option is to eat good quality meat by far. The chicken breast that Jen was buying before she finally went vegan were at least twice the cost of our meat alternatives that we're currently having. In fact, I can remember buying some when she couldn't get any from the store and asked me to go and pick it up. It was like £6 for 2 breasts. That's like $8 or $9. Absolute nuts. Okay, bit more work and then supper. And supper was good. Jen did broccoli with roasted red peppers and onions, then chucked on some plant-based chicken-looking soy-based chunks. I had mine with some brown rice. She had hers with some vegan pasta, and it was very good. It doesn't taste like meat, but I don't need it to taste like meat in particular. In fact, I don't need to taste anything other than good, and it was good, and loads of protein too. There's no question, it does help being able to cook a little bit. If it was me, I'd have just had that pretend meat on some rice and that would have been it. That was a far better option. Just give it a little stir, make it look sexy. Do it more sexy. Do it more sexy. More sexy. And then this will be the last meal of the day. I just made it and it's going to be going in the fridge for tonight. This one, like breakfast, hasn't really changed much because of going plant-based, other than I switched the casein protein that's in it for a soy protein isolate. I filmed the non-vegan version of this a couple of times, so you may have already seen it. If you haven't, in this we have protein powder, chocolate flavoured high protein soya milk. Blend that up with some xanthan gum, which makes it all go gloopy. Sprinkle on some chopped nuts, some cocoa nibs, a couple more blueberries. Perfect TV food. Filling and tastes like a dessert. And that will be it for food. Calorie counting is never an exact science using the information on the back of the package, But I stick it all in my FitnessPal app, and I've got to double check some numbers, so anything that's been popping up on screen will have been double checked. But as it's looking right now, my numbers are roughly this. I'm at about 2,700 total calories, about 280 grams of carbs, about 80 grams of fat, and 200 grams of protein. I feel good, I have no cravings, I feel like I've worked hard today, but I've still got some energy. If I wanted, I could squeeze in a treat. I've got a few more calories spare. We have some awesome chickpea snacks, but I don't need them. I feel calorie content. Useful? I hope so. Is it easy to hit 200 grams? No. It took some planning with meat though, so there's no real change there. Will I stay vegan? I don't know. So far, so good. I'm enjoying what I'm eating. I seem to be getting what I need from it. There's no obvious reason why it should be bad for me. So I don't need to eat meat. I'm kind of thinking the only reason I would is because I just want to eat meat, which would be actually a rather odd reason. Who knows? Bottom line, this is not a sales pitch. I have absolutely no motivation for telling anyone what to do, how to train, certainly not how to eat. Do what you like. This channel is all about this is what I'm doing and what seems to work for me. Feel free to then pick and choose the bits you want to try, if any. But if the thing that puts you off having less meat and more alternatives is the lack of protein, don't worry, there are plenty of options and more stuff popping up in the stores all the time. Clearly, it is a growing market, which is good. No one can be particularly upset about more choice. Drop it a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you on the next one, by which time my little vegan hipster beard should be well underway.